Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back for another video. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, I want to talk about the 10 best, most impactful epics you could pull in this game. I'm focused mainly on as many stages of the game as possible: early game, mid game, late game. In terms of the champion viability, I want to make sure that the champion you pull is good in many areas, or in some cases extremely good in one area, and you will be using this epic from the beginning, the early game, all the way to the end game. So I want to show you guys the 10 epics that I've chosen to be the most impactful, most influential, most powerful throughout your entire raid career. So let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so I got my little notepad up here. We're going to keep a list nice and handy so you guys can refer back to it and make fun of me for missing some super strong epics. But this is my number 10 epic. It's going to be Mr. Cham. Cham comes from the Sacred Order, and he is absolutely insane. He's a Void epic. He hits super hard on his triple hit here. Able to one-shot, for example, the C-Fee on hard Doom Tower. That's where one of his uses is, where he can snipe the C-Fee off. But his main use actually comes from Hydra. So if you get a Cham, the Cham is a one-stop answer to the Head of Torment. Makes your life a lot easier, makes Hydra a lot more enjoyable, less frustrating, because the Head of Torment is very hard to deal with, especially when you're starting out. And even as an endgame player, Cham definitely can still fit into some comps. So as a viable champion throughout the entire life of your career, he's definitely up there. He's ranked 10 here because he actually is not super good for a super early player. He's not much of a carry, he's a damage dealer. And early game players won't be jumping into the Hydra or taking it too seriously in the beginning. So Cham falls to number 10, but he does make the list because of how powerful he is in that one area. So moving on. All right, so coming in at number 9, I got Ugo. Similar idea as Cham, where she's extremely good in one area. And the area where she is extremely good is Hydra. He brings the AoE decreased defense with the AoE block buffs. Very rare combination. I think she might be the only champion that brings both of them on one move. Area block buffs is very hard to find, and she's an epic, so it makes it more accessible. Make sure you guys give her the sniper mastery, because for some reason she only caps out at set 95% block buffs against 4 enemies, so you need the sniper mastery to make sure she's 100% landing her block buffs. She also brings a cleanse and a conditional revive. Is actually kind of interesting. A1 leech as well. Very good in most area. You can use her early, like for example, decreased defense for your arena team. You can use her in your dungeon runs as you're progressing through the dungeon levels. Like I said, bringing the AoE decreased defense, the cleanse, small heal, and the leech. Leech is great against clan boss as well, and decreased defense is great against clan boss. She's generally good everywhere, but she excels in Hydra. She comes in here at number 9 just because you can definitely look to replace her. She's not going to be like an insane addition in any of the areas that I mentioned, except for Hydra. But in Hydra, you really want to replace her in the end, but she is very hard to replace because of these critical debuffs that she brings. She makes the list in the top 10, but there are definitely better champions, more powerful champions ahead of Ugo, but I would not be upset to pull her, especially early. All right, guys, coming in at number 8, I'm going to put Aure here from the Demon Spawn. Aure, OG champion, very old school. She brings the A1 triple hit turn meter reduction, which is basically all she's really good for. But the way she is structured in the early game, she's extremely powerful, right? She can do the turn meter. She basically one mans the Fire Knight in the beginning. She's also insanely strong, almost critical against Dark Fae, which is the most impactful Doom Tower farm boss. So you definitely want an Aure on your team if possible. She's actually just generally kind of a good champion too. She's insanely strong against faction wars, which is a tough faction if you don't have the significant legendaries. So her A1 controls the boss. She also brings an AoE decreased defense and a sleep, so she has a little bit of control, a little bit of debuffing. Although she's statted out like a damage dealer, she doesn't really deal damage. She basically mostly used for A1, but because her A1 is one of the best, especially early before hard dungeons came about, Aure was extremely critical for her one roll against Fire Knight, and still super relevant against Dark Fate as well. So she still makes the list here on the top 10 most powerful, most influential, most impactful epics in the game. All right, guys, number 7, back to the Sacred Order we go. I got Godseeker here. Godseeker is Void epic next to Shamail here, actually. But basically, her kit is very interesting, very powerful, actually. And she makes the list at number 7 here because of her endgame viability. Of course, she's good in all areas. She's actually a little bit of a carry if you get her early because of her single target revive. She also has passive revive, basically a double revive here. She has heals, extensions, buff extensions, and a AoE blast, AoE heal as well. Her stats are not extremely strong, but she does hit actually decent as a defense-based damage dealer. She has support stats, but she's kind of a damage dealer. So it's kind of interesting. You can use her in Clan Boss. She's extremely good for Clan Boss. The buff extensions enables a lot of non-unkillable teams to shine or to function more properly. Obviously, she's extremely strong in Sand Devil. Obviously, she's like the main champion you look for when you're trying to progress through Sand Devil with the single turret revive and the passive revive going on. There's also comps in other areas where she can be extremely strong as well. She's like known to be able to cheese some areas just with this passive revive, but her main squeeze right now is basically being the go-to for Sand Devil until you get basically a bunch of specific legendaries to speed farm Sand Devil. Until then, Godseeker is the best or one of the best options you have going on. And I think because of her importance in that one significant dungeon that's almost too cheesy, too difficult for most people, I'm going to put her here at number 7 for her level of impact in somebody's account for that one dungeon alone, actually. All right, coming in at number 6, I got Seeker here from the Undead. Seeker here coming in here, a little bat beast going on. Seeker is great. If you pull Seeker early, Seeker is going to go straight into your early arena teams. He's got the turn meter fill, big turn meter fill with the increased attack, similar to Arbiter. So if you have Arbiter, you wouldn't use Seeker, obviously, but you could use them both for the big turn meter boosting. He also has the A1 provoke, which is good for controlling waves, for example, like faction wars and stuff. He has an interesting passive where if he gets hit by a crit, he places increased defense on your whole team. You can use Seeker in go second teams where you put him in the lead so that you have the defense aura up for arena. When he gets crit, he will place the defense, increased defense on your whole team. Make sure he is in the front of your team if you want this effect to happen. So the positioning of your team is important for his passive to work properly. But his biggest role actually is to enable a lot of unkillable or block damage clan boss teams with his turn meter boost and his extra turn. Also, increased attack is very good at boosting damage as well. He's going to be in a lot of endgame unkillable or block damage teams. He enables a lot of that stuff. In the early game, he's going to be an arena booster. He's going to be great for faction wars to help you get through some of those waves. Just a generally good champion. His stats are a little bit low, but he's just a generally good champion. Comes in here at number 6. Our lives are a lot better with Seeker in it. So congratulations if you guys pull him early. He's a great champion. You'll be using him in your teams for a long time. All right, moving on to number 5. We're at the halfway mark. I got Royal Guard here. Royal Guard, you know, it was kind of difficult to choose Royal Guard because he's really good at max HP damaging enemies. He's good at blowing up bosses. He's incredibly good in the normal dungeons. And I found myself saying, I use this guy so much in the beginning and then so much now still. So he's extremely good in Hydra. If you have him for Hydra, he's really good. In the higher difficulties, he can slam really hard. He can place decreased speed as well. But obviously his big thing is his damage. He's a little bit squishy on the stats, so that's probably why you don't use him too often. He's extremely strong in all of the dungeons that take basically the bosses will take big damage from his big slam here. It's also very good against Dark Fae, where the damage comes in, the decreased speed comes in. He's very good against Fire Knight, normal Fire Knight. So when you're progressing through Fire Knight, he's got the triple hit. No, he's got a quad hit, and then he's got the decreased speed, and then he's got the big slams against him too. Yeah, he's going to be extremely strong in normal Spider when you're progressing through as well. This guy's just really, really good. I mean, even Dragon, he can help you out there. He's not going to be able to land decreased speed, but his max HP hit will damage the Dragon significantly. So just the fact that he's insanely strong in basically any boss content. He also brings multi-hits, he brings debuffs, turn meter drops, and he's incredibly good in some endgame content like Dark Fae, Hydra. He's got to be here on the list. Of course, he's only number 5 on this list, because I feel like the top 4 are even more powerful than Rogard. All right, let's get into it. So number 4, I got Orc Voidseir. Yes, why is Seer not number 1 anymore? Well, it feels like Seer doesn't need to be used as often. Obviously, she is used in some of the fastest teams possible, but it seems like she has been power crept a little bit, where we don't necessarily rely on her as as much anymore. But if you also pull her early, she's not necessarily the best, because you actually need some pretty good geo on her. So the way she works is that she removes all buffs from all allies and enemies, and then she places a max HP hit. So if you have lots of buffs on your team and she has lots of damage, it deals insane amounts of damage to enemy waves, basically one-shots them. And also in normal dungeons, she does a ton of damage against the boss as well, because it's a max HP hit. For other moves, they're not very good. Single hit, chance of getting extra turn, and then an AoE weaken, increased crit rate. Not the best. She's not actually particularly good if you pull her early. That's one of the things as well that kind of factored into a slightly lower rating for me, because if she doesn't deal damage, her rest of her kit is not very good. In the end game, she's incredibly good, because you're going to need her to speed farm Doom Tower waves, speed farm dungeon waves. But in the super end game, you actually don't really farm dungeons that much anymore. You mostly farm Sand Devil or Shogun's Grove for powder and all that stuff. That's extremely end game. But for dungeon farming, she still gets kind of used. I believe in Ice Golem, Dragon. She's not used in Fire Knight, and she's not used in Spider anymore. So you see how her prominence has dropped a little bit. But like I said, still for me, a top 4 Void champion. Lots of people look for her for their entire careers and can never get her. So if you got her, congratulations. You'll be using her for a good duration of your career, and all the way into the end game, you'll still be using her. Just not relied on as much as in the past, when she was probably number 1 almost always. So going off of her, we're going to go into the top 3 epics. All right, so I got number 3 here. I got Maneater, Mr. Maneater himself. He might be used every day in one of your teams, for your clan boss team. We all know about Mr. Maneater here. He's got the 5-turn unkillable block debuffs, enabling all sorts of crazy teams for the clan boss. Incredibly powerful in the early game to just have this skill for your team going through dungeons. His A2 is actually pretty decent too. He's got the decrease, fully deplete turn meter move, and then he's got an A1 decreased defense as well. So even without an unkillable team, the A1 decreased defense is actually okay. Like for example, like against clan boss. But of course, his specialty is going to be against clan boss. He's insanely good in faction wars. Obviously, any wave-based content is going to be good, and he's going to be good whether you're super early game or super end game. Just an overall good champion. Decent stats, good HP, decent defense, decent speed. Nothing too crazy, but you know what? Maneater, he's one of those champions that just propels your account to the next level, and you'll basically use him forever, unless you get even crazier options. But you want to see this guy from your void shards, especially early on. He's gonna definitely make life a lot easier, and getting to that Ultra Nightmare clan boss, those rewards is what enables your account to basically play this game without having to spend significant money. So Maneater comes in here at number 3. We got 2 more left to go here. Number 2, I got basically the sister version ish of Maneater. I got Detha. Detha is coming in here at number 2. Void epic here. Detha is known for the similar move, block damage. She doesn't have the block debuffs like Maneater. Maneater comes in with the unkillable as well. So this is block damage on a 3-turn cooldown. The 3-turn cooldown makes her extremely good for early game, where she can cycle back to this quickly when you have poor gear. She also brings some support like healing, which can be very useful, especially for early game. A1 places some shields. Decent stats, decent speeds all around. Nothing too insane. But for end game, she makes those Detha teams with the block damage teams against clan boss. She also comes in super clutch against in other areas as well. Specifically in Iron Twins, where Maneater might not be used as often because the Iron Twins does ignore unkillable. But Detha's block damage does work in Iron Twins. And because of her shorter cooldown with basically a similar effect as the unkillable as Maneater, I placed her 1 spot ahead, making her a little bit more user-friendly, especially in the early game, considered relative to Maneater. So I think Detha comes in here at number 2. She enables all sorts of clan boss teams similar to Maneater as well. And definitely used in the a late game as well as the early game or mid game. But yeah, only number 2. We got 1 more left to go in the top 10 most powerful epics, most impactful epics that we have available to us. So let's get right to it. And sticking with the dwarf faction, what do we got? We got Geomancer. Geomancer, I don't think this is too surprising of a pick. I thought about this quite a bit. You know, I lived without Geomancer still to this day. On one of my accounts, I skipped his ancient guarantee. There was a 40 ancient guarantee for Geomancer way back in the day, maybe 2.5 years ago. I passed on him because I said, oh, I'll get this guy, no big deal. And I never got him. But that account, I learned to live without him. But Geomancer as an epic is absolutely insane. He enables all sorts of stuff. He enables you to do more damage than you are supposed to do, obviously against bosses mainly, but he's known for his passive and his HP burn. When he does his HP burn, his passive reflects the damage against the boss, basically procting all sorts of max HP damage against the boss. He does insane amounts of damage. He's still used in all sorts of applications. Mainly though, he's pretty much used as a damage dealer in all sorts of teams. He's especially effective against bosses, clan boss, Iron Twins. He does a ton of damage. Hydra, he's going to be very good, although better in higher difficulties. He also comes here with the AoE A1, so you can actually purpose him for like stun sets or anything like that if you really need him to do that stuff. He's also very good in like Shogun. He's good in like a lot of end game areas, and if you pull him early, he's going to be basically super impactful in any of your dungeon teams. The one area where he basically can't really do much is arena. So hopefully you guys have some arena champs to cover for him if you pull him early. But otherwise, he's my vote for the best epic in the game still. Yeah, I think it has to be Geomancer. It has to be. He's still prominent now as he was before. He hasn't lost too much in the way of power creep to other epics in the time that he's been in this game. And he's ridiculously impactful in terms of pushing your clan boss damage higher so that you can get better rewards as you progress through the clan boss difficulties. Anyways, guys, this is my list of top 10 most impactful, most powerful epics, and most overall useful for general players across all progression levels. Let me know in the comments below what you think about my list. My list is right here, top left-hand corner, if you guys don't recall. If you guys got better suggestions, let me know. You know, it was actually kind of difficult. I think I could have easily made like a top 20 list and felt pretty good about it, but there's so many good epics in this game. It was really hard to narrow down some of these epics, but in the end, I think I got a pretty solid list here. Let me know in the comments below. Have a great time. Have a great day. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you all. And I'll see you guys in the next one.